What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got the co-host, Amanda. Amanda, the draft, 8 days away, right around the corner. Are you hyped?
I would be hyped, but the Packers and I have a lot of beef about their draft picks over the course of my lifetime, so they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Hugh, the draft is always the best time of year. I can't wait. Let's see if we can improve our teams, right?
Absolutely. It's a great time. I just know within every organization they're having their mock drafts next week as everybody gets ready to make their picks, trade their picks, but
Yeah.
improve their teams. And so it's going to be a lot of great things happening, a lot of hustle and bustle, a lot of false information, a lot of unbelievable narratives, especially starting next week.
Yeah, and it's great to have you on. You coached against, Shadur and Travis Hunter at Jackson State, and there's a lot of talk about them, some hot takes. A lot of people have Shadur falling in the draft. Um, it's crazy, and so it's great to have you on and get your perspective on some of that. I want to start off though on a sad note. We do have to talk about former LSU wide receiver Kyron Lacy, who unfortunately took his own life on Saturday night. Was one of my favorite wide receivers in the draft. I love watching him play for the Tigers. Hugh, that's a sad story, and it just puts an emphasis on mental health and all that, right?
No, absolutely, Alex. My heart goes out to his family and to the tragedy of the people that this came about from. I just
Yeah,
think it's a hard situation to be in. You're talking about a young 24-year-old talented man who, for whatever reason, didn't feel like he could make it. Didn't feel like, regardless of what happened, that he was going to be okay or that he was in a safe space. Sounds like he got into it with a family member and
wow,
that just spiraled everything and it turned into him losing his life. And so you just said it. I just hope that anybody that has any issue that they're dealing with from a mental health standpoint, that they just ask for help.
yeah,
Please just reach out to somebody, anyone, and give yourself the best chance at life, because trust me, there's nothing better than living.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And we wish, that we could have seen his talents in the NFL as well. But
Mhm.
prayers to the family and his friends and everyone close to that situation. Um, Amanda, getting into the draft here, the Titans, everyone expects them to go Cam Ward. Um, that's got to be the pick, right? Will Levis struggling, turnover machine. You got to upgrade that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've made a lot of jokes about Will Levis, and the only thing he's provided the NFL in his career has been funny memes, great pictures, facial expressions. But I mean, the Titans got to dig themselves out of that hole, and I don't think you can pass on Cam Ward here. Like, you need a quarterback, and I mean, the quarterback pool is not that deep this season.
hmm Hugh, do you see the comparison? A lot of people are talking about comparing Cam Ward to Steve McNair. Do you see similarities there?
I hate when people make those kind of comparisons. I
Yeah.
really do. I just think that's unfair. Steve McNair was a tremendous player for the
Yeah.
Titans. Did a lot of great things there for the organization. Cam Ward's going to be Cam Ward. I see, because he can throw the ball from so many different arm angles, and the way he plays, he looks very calm when he plays. But at the same time, they're two different players. Steve was a big man,
Yeah.
and Cam is not as big a man, but we're talking about Tennessee. So we know people are going to do that. I wish people would stay away from it, but Cam's going to be his own guy. I think he's talented. Sounds like that's going to be the pick for the Titans, and they'll move forward.
And then the draft to me starts. Everyone knows what the Titans are going to do, but the draft starts at number two with the Cleveland Browns. And right now, the consensus, everyone's saying they're going to take Travis Hunter, and whether he's going to play wide receiver or corner or both. To me and Amanda have been talking about this. The Browns need to figure out the quarterback position. I know they added 40-year-old Joe Flacco. You
Wacko,
traded for
Wacko for Flacco.
you got Kenny Pickett as well, but I think you need a starting quarterback. I would take Shadur there at number two, or you take Travis Hunter and maybe trade back up and try to get Shadur that way and keep the teammates together. Hugh, how do you see that? I mean, quarterback's the most important position, right?
No, it is. There's no question, but we know the Browns sometimes don't follow that pattern. They do what they do, and I get it. But at the same time, it would be hard for me to take Travis there,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
especially if I'm gonna play him in both places. I mean, I have Denzel Ward, who's not, a very big corner. I can't have two corners, who could miss, a lot of time. And when you're talking about a conference that has Derrick Henry at running back, you're talking about a
yeah,
conference that has some other running backs that are big backs. I mean, I know the young man that was at Pittsburgh's gone, but they're going to have a big, powerful, physical back. That's the AFC North. And so
hmm,
I would hate to have two corners with that stature, playing corner for me in that division. Just that alone would make me feel, a little afraid to do that. Not that he's not talented enough to do it. I just would be concerned about the value I would get out of the player.
yeah. Amanda, do you think he should focus on wide receiver over corner, or how do you see that?
I mean, to me, I think he's better at wide receiver. Just, I mean, you look at the size of a lot of the breakout stars in college versus the size of the guys who have the longevity in the league, and it's the bigger guys who last. Like, yeah, you can have a couple of good years out of a smaller, faster quarterback, but then injuries tend to take him out. And I would just rather his career be long and focus on what's going to keep him healthy and keep him in the league as long as possible. And for me, that's, staying as a receiver.
Yeah, and Hugh, I also think if you're not going to take a quarterback there, what about Abdul Carter? You could put him opposite Miles Garrett and have a tremendous two pass rushers there, you know?
No, you could. And trust me, I don't think anybody wants to pass great players or generational talents or guys that you feel are going to be all pros, in the National Football League. So I think whoever picks, I mean, if the Browns keep the pick, they're going to have to really make some real decisions about what they want to do with their future. But you said it. I mean, you got to make sure that you're solidified at quarterback first and foremost. And you got to make sure you have the right people around that quarterback so that he can be the best he can be. And so there's a lot that goes into this decision, as you start to say, hey, do I take a quarterback or do I take the next best player that's on the board?
Yeah. Um, do you think Travis Hunter can play both sides of the ball in the NFL, or is that too much of a tough ask in the pros?
I think Travis Hunter can do anything he wants to do. I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think the biggest issue is how much would he play, on
Yeah.
offense, or how much would he play on defense? Is he just going to be a third down specialist that comes in and plays nickel or something like that on defense while he focuses on playing offense? Is he also going to return punts? I mean, there's
I was
so
just gonna
many
say
things.
I want him punt returning for my team.
Right.
He's on my team. He is.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
dynamic. We all know that. And he's dynamic with the ball in his hands. He can make special plays. And I think you just got to figure out what you want to do with this player, and just whatever it is, he's going to be good at it. But could he do both, just play in and play out like he did when he was at Colorado? I think that'd be tough to do.
Yeah. Uh, Amanda, what do you think of what the Giants have done? They've kind of, gone with some veterans. They bring in Jameis Winston. They bring in Russell Wilson. Um, your favorite quarterback over there is Tommy Cutlets. How do
Yeah,
you see
he's my
that
favorite one in that room. Can you guys just picture? I know they're not going to do it, but like just a season of quarterback with just that quarterback room. We got Tommy DeVito who like straight off The Sopranos, like he's taking out
going?
mafia hits on Russell Wilson, who's just like they're just like I can just see like a soap opera happening in that quarterback room. Like I think it would be so entertaining just to do like a satirical show with just the three of them and like them trying to get along. I'm entertained. I don't know what's going to happen there. I have no predictions. All three of them are such unique personalities and players. I don't think they need to draft another quarterback. I think they have enough personality in that room to last them the season.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I wish they would do Hard Knocks, but that's not gonna happen
Yeah.
after last year.
Bad taste.
Um, yeah, Hugh. I mean, let's go to the Patriots here. I mean the Giants. So it looks like if the Browns go Travis Hunter, then the Giants would get Abdul Carter. That D line would be nasty. You got Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns. You got Abdul Carter to that. Look out.
No, they would be one of the best defenses in football.
Yeah.
Arguably, they were pretty good a year ago. I just
They
want to
were.
back up for a second. This quarterback thing there at the Giants have me baffled. I mean, you
Yeah.
have two veteran players that are, at the back end of their careers,
Mhm.
and you're counting on them to do what? You took two of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that. And now you're talking about maybe not drafting a quarterback. I mean, you have to fix this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you have to fix it fast as the head coach. And so, and I like the head coach. He's a good guy, but at the same time, I just know what the pressure of trying to figure it out and win games, what that is. And he's given both of these guys an opportunity to take a swing at it. But I'm sure he's seen, what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
How does this work out for me, and how does this work out for the organization? We got to have a player that I've drafted and put on this team and feel real good about, that's going to lead us to where we want to go. And so, how do they pass on taking a quarterback at three? I think that's
Yeah.
going to be really hard.
But I
And,
think they'd have
and
to see someone who they think is going to be their guy. And just
Mhm.
looking at the quarterbacks in the draft, I don't know who they would who would suit the team well. For me, the Giants and the Steelers both have an issue finding the right fit at quarterback over the past few years, and I'm really intrigued to see how it plays out. Coming up on the next two seasons to see where they end up at quarterback.
Right. Well, I'm
well,
surprised that people don't think that Shador has
yeah.
what it takes. I really am. I mean, the guy did it at a whole different level
Mhm.
at Jackson State, improved what he was. He started to play well. He started to get noticed. And a lot of people think it's because of his dad. No, he had really good stats, in the HBCU world. And then he goes to the Power Five conference and he does it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and people are still questioning that. And I get, I mean, that's Deion Sanders' son. Let's call it like it is. But
Mhm.
this guy has gone from where it's not very good and made it good, and went to where it's supposed to be and made it good. I
Mhm.
mean, that says something to me, that he has some moxie and he has some grit about him, and he knows how to rise above and lead,
Mhm.
opportunities to better situation. He's done it everywhere he's been. So, yeah, I mean, there's some things you wish. There's some things every quarterback that comes in the draft which you wish would do better. It's just who you surround him with, who's coaching him, and does he have enough arm talent, and does he have football IQ? And I think he has both of those.
So
Yeah.
every interview I've ever seen of him, you cannot help but like and respect the guy. Like
Mhm.
he's got a level head, like he's very focused, very game oriented. Hugh, I have a question for you though. If you look at all these top 10 draft picks, which team do you think would be the best fit for him? Not who's going to be available to get him, but like
Mhm.
who do you think he would be the best on with their current system, coaches, and offense in place?
Honestly, Amanda, that's hard for me. I say that because I don't think people really appreciate, and you just said it, who's in that room and what is the infrastructure for the quarterback,
Mhm.
and what quarterbacks are you going to bring into that room? I think every young quarterback needs a veteran mentor
Hmm.
to work them through life in the National Football League and growing in the National Football League, and how to manipulate and how to move forward in the National Football League. So I haven't studied all that, just being very honest, but I think there's several teams, because of the head coach
Hmm.
and because
Mhm.
of the potential of what's already there from an offensive standpoint and from a defensive standpoint. Because what people don't understand, these teams have to be ready for these quarterbacks, and how ready are you? Because some guys can come in and throw it 35 times a game and be good. Some guys need to throw it 20 times, 22 times a game when they first come in. You better have a running game to support them, and you better have a defense to support them. So it's hard when you look at it, because I know what that looks like and what that feels like. But boy, whoever goes and wherever these quarterbacks go, especially in the first top 10 picks, the fans are going to want them to play.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They want to see those guys play. The organizations want to see them play. The owners want to see them play. Eventually, they're going to play. because that's what it's been. It's only a few of the organizations that say, wait, let's wait this out. Let's make sure we're ready for this guy to play. Everybody doesn't have the blueprint that Green Bay has. Everybody doesn't have the blueprint that Kansas City has had. It's just there's certain organizations that get it, and most organizations don't.
And that's my issue with the Giants. I had mocked Shador to the Giants on my first couple mocks, and it felt like a great fit with Brian Dable and Malik Neighbors and those
Mhm.
weapons, Darius Slayton, etc. But I think the issue is they brought back the GM, and so they put the GM and head coach on the hot seat, and are pretty much saying you better win now, otherwise you're gone. So they don't feel like they can be patient. Do they bring in veterans because they need to win now? I think it's going to backfire, you know. But I thought Shador would be a great fit with the Giants, and I don't really understand their approach. I agree, with what
Mhm.
you're saying, Hugh, and so we'll see. Shador's going to fall a little bit, but I don't expect him to fall out of the top 10. And a great scenario to me. What do you think about this, Hugh? The Browns take Travis Hunter. This is the only way it makes sense to take Travis Hunter. You take him at 2. You get pick number 33. You trade back up to pick 20 just before the Steelers, and you take Shador at 20. Now you've got Shador and you've got Travis Hunter, and you can sit behind Flacco, learn from Flacco a little bit. I think that would make a lot of sense, but you got to hope that Shador falls to 20. And you've got the Saints, the Raiders, the Jets, teams that could take him potentially.
Oh, absolutely. But if you're Mike Tomlin, you're hoping that he's sitting right there where you
Yeah.
can grab him yourself, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they need a
Yeah.
quarterback, and he needs another quarterback that he can groom, that can get him to the next 4 years in Pittsburgh, and
Yeah.
so um, I won't be surprised if somebody goes up and gets Shador.
Mm-hmm.
I
So I
Yeah.
think a lot of this talk is just smoke, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah.
And
It always
somebody,
happens.
yeah,
That's how
somebody's
I
going
feel
to take
about
it.
picking the Packers every year. I'm like, I may as well not even. I'm not even gonna tell them who my favorite draft picks are. I have yelled at my phone so many times during the draft, yelled at the TV. Like some of the players they have passed on, like passing on DK Metcalf. I was ready to throw something. Like I was mad. And I know we need to talk about the Patriots pick at number 4, but I will say I would love Shador with the Raiders. I mean, Chip Kelly. Pete Carroll, like they're so great at developing quarterbacks. You have this
Yeah.
beautiful offense for him behind. I mean, Brock Bowers, Raheem Mostert, and he gets to kind of ease into it behind Geno Smith. Well, most of these rookie quarterbacks are going to get drafted where they need someone to start right away, so it gives him that development time. So
Right.
beyond
Yeah.
the Tom Brady loving him and Tom Brady being involved, as far as quarterback development opportunities, I think the Raiders would be such a great spot for him.
And I was going
Yeah.
to say that I really think you hit the nail on the head because of the relationships
Mhm.
that have already been formed between Tom and him and Pete, and they have Geno, and Geno's going to play good for the next couple of years. I mean,
Yeah.
but boy, how long will Pete last?
Mhm.
And I love Pete. We went to the same university, and Pete's awesome.
Mm.
But that situation, Chip being there is great. I mean, I just think because he has a college background, just came from winning a national championship, understand the transitioning those guys from college to the NFL. I mean, I think there's a lot of pluses there, but boy, I think there's a lot of things you got to work through too, being the Raiders and being in Las Vegas, and not
Yeah.
not that that's gonna deter anybody or Shador in any way. If I'm Shador, I want to go somewhere I can sit and
Yeah.
grow and learn. I want this to be a 15-year career. I don't want the
Mm-hmm.
quick, flash in the pan. I'm not trying to compare myself to Jaden Daniels
Mhm.
or to the young man that's at the Texans, Stroud. I don't want to be, I mean, those guys were fortunate. I want to be my own person and figure this out and go be a great quarterback in the league.
Yeah, and the issue with the Raiders is they have so many needs, especially on
Yes.
offense. They need a running back, they need a
Mhm.
receiver, and so it's going to be tough to see. I think they go Ashton Genty. It just is a huge need, and
I
he's a
do
beast.
too.
But I would love to see him fall to Chicago. I'll take that. Amanda doesn't want to see that because she's afraid of the Bears now. The Bears are coming up. She's starting to get nervous over there.
No, JJ McCarthy, Minnesota. I got an eye on that team over there. Mm-mm. I like him.
And
I wanted him to have a couple years on the bench behind Kirk Cousins. I was annoyed they let Kirk Cousins go. But as a Green Bay fan, I'm like, well, maybe it's for the best. But Alex, who did you have going to the Patriots? You were thinking,
So this is the crazy thing about the Patriots. If Travis Hunter falls to them, or if Abdul Carter, either one, they'd be ecstatic. But they won a meaningless game in Week 18 to fall to pick number 4, and now they're going to miss out on those guys, I think. And they're still going to get a good pick, though. If they go Will Campbell or Armand Membu, you got to upgrade that offensive line to protect
good
Drake
tackle
May.
options there.
Yeah. Um, so that's my thoughts on them. The Jets could go a lot of different ways. I think they go Armand Membu, but you could go, that tight end. What's his name? Tyler Warren would be an excellent fit there. But the Saints, now that Derek Carr is expected to miss some time with that shoulder injury, which is a crazy story in itself that just got broke. I think Shador makes a lot of sense to the Saints, Hugh.
No, he does. I mean, the Raiders, he makes sense. The Saints, he makes sense, as Amanda was saying. I just, again, who's going to put in that card?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Who's going to put in that card? Who's going to make the trades that are necessary? I think there's going to be a surprise in the
I hope
top 10.
so.
I really
Yeah.
do. I just think
Yeah.
somebody's going to jump up that we don't suspect and go get a quarterback. I really do. Because
I
it's
don't
not.
have my prediction this year. Last year I predicted Minnesota going up and getting JJ McCarthy. Like I
Mhm.
nailed that on the head.
Yes, you
This year,
did.
I don't know. I'm not getting specific vibes this year, so I'm curious to see who it's going to be.
Well, you said it's not a very strong class, right?
Mhm.
At that position,
Yeah.
there's about three guys that I think people are kind of convicted on, and then
Yeah.
there's the others, right? And then the third guy, where does he fall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see him in the top 10 or is he in the top 18? I just think that's how this thing's going to unfold. But people normally overdraft quarterbacks,
Yeah. I
and
think
that's
Jackson Dart in the top five would be crazy.
absolutely
I
it
think.
would be, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
some QB desperate teams.
Yes, yes.
Speaking of, you keep talking about JJ McCarthy, Amanda. And I think you're trying to like jinx it because you don't want to see Aaron Rodgers end up in Minnesota. Because honestly, that's the best fit for Aaron
It
Rodgers.
is,
One
and I
year.
just hate it so much. And what's funny to me is Aaron Rodgers is known for having a chip on his shoulder and like being his own man and like he's a weirdo and he owns it. So for me it would be so anti his personality and what we know of him to follow in Brett Favre's footsteps, the exact same trajectory for his career. Like that's the most like anti Aaron Rodgers move ever, but it does make the most sense.
Yeah.
They are one
That'll be,
quarterback shy of a championship run.
yeah, for sure. My Bears at pick 10. I'm hoping Ashton Genty falls. I would take Tyler Warren. I would take running back O'Marion Hampton. The Bears are in an interesting spot. Hugh, the Bears have really focused on the offensive line, really
Hmm.
cleaned that up. They're going to give, new head coach Ben Johnson. I think Caleb Williams is in a great spot going into year 2. And if you can get a running back or a tight end and go 12 personnel with Cole Kmet, either way, you're looking at a, much better team on paper.
Well, there's no doubt. Well, you got one of the best coordinators in football, as your head
Mhm.
coach and quarterback developer. And if you watch his style of offense, it is good
Yeah.
receivers, a really good runner, and maybe a couple
Yeah, I
runners,
was gonna say,
you
wasn't
know.
he the OC when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs? Like,
Yes.
he got those running backs right on the top of
Yes.
the board.
And then he
And Sam
loves.
Laporta, too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
either
and he
way,
loves having tight ends, because
yeah,
of the different personnel sets that they love to get in. And so he's going to build it that way, And so if they're strong in the offensive line now, which they are, they've gotten better that way because to me, he gets it. That's how you support the quarterback. People don't
yeah,
think about it. You got to protect this guy. Then
Give
you
him
got to go make
time.
sure he has some guys on the outside to throw to, and they're doing that. Now you got to make sure he has a runner because it's not always great for a quarterback. You got to be able to turn around and hand the ball off, And so I can see them, and there's a lot of good runners. You don't have to take one in the first round, in my opinion. I think
yeah,
this is a running back heavy class this
yeah.
year. So you can go get one in the second round that's a really good player and go take the best player on the board, at that particular point in time.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
class
I would.
here, running backs and edges, anyone who needs
Hmm.
those positions there are set. Second round,
Hmm.
third
Yeah,
round, like those are some dense classes.
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be mad at Travion Henderson in the second round. Another team that could use a running back is the Denver Broncos. If Omarion Hampton falls to pick 20, that would be a great get for them. And how impressed are you, Hugh, with Sean Payton's development? He comes in, he turns that team around in a hurry. Patrick Surtain wins Defensive Player of the Year. You got Bo Nix ahead of schedule. You bring in a solid running back, that team's off and running.
Oh, absolutely. And we know which type of guy he likes. He likes a guy that can not only run, but catch the football out of the
Mm-hmm.
backfield. And so that's what he's looking for. And he's going to find one. He's going to
Yeah.
find one that really fits that system to a T that complements that quarterback. And they're going to be really good on offense.
And then Amanda, don't let Colston Loveland, your Michigan guy, follow the Chargers. Reunite with Harbaugh.
No, that's like worst case scenario for the rest of that division. He would be such a good fit there too. Like
Yeah.
that offense, like he would fill, oh, it would be amazing. Jim Harbaugh would lose his mind. I think that would be the perfect opportunity for them. I think that that reunion would be fantastic. And that offense is just shy. Like they're almost all the way there. I think he would be a great fit there.
And we talked about that, Hugh, in the playoffs last year. The Chargers needing some more pass catchers, needing some more
Yes.
weapons on Herbert. That would definitely help.
It would help tremendously. You know, they've gotten bigger and more physical at the running back position.
Yeah.
They're going to run the football. We all know that, and they're going to run extremely well. If they can solidify receivers, you know, guys that can change the game for them, look out because the Chargers are going to be good.
Yeah,
Me and Amanda love Najee Harris with the Chargers. I think he has a
Hmm.
career year.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Me too.
absolutely.
We talked about the Steelers a little bit, Hugh. The Steelers waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Right now, you got Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. You got to go quarterback here, right?
You got
Whether
to.
it's
I mean,
whether it's Shador or Jackson Dart, even I would get a quarterback.
you have to. You got to take a shot, right? You got to
Yeah.
take a shot on a quarterback because that is what you've been missing, you know, for several years now. And so I think they got to get that one figured out. I think for Mike Tomlin, he's got to figure it out. But at the same time, I think Pittsburgh, you know, if defensively, they got to keep those pieces in place for at least one more year, you
Yeah.
know, and then get a quarterback that can, you know, matriculate the ball down the field and give them a chance. But they're void, in my opinion, still too of really good receivers. I love George, you know, but he's up and down, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you want that
Hmm.
consistency from a player, and I still think they have to get another receiver that's going to make a difference for their football team.
So say Sanders and Dart are both gone at pick 21. Who's your next best quarterback? Like who do you think the Steelers should go for?
Oh my gosh,
My thoughts
I
exactly.
yeah, it's
yeah.
hard.
I
I don't
mean,
think there's another first round quarterback in the
I
draft
don't either.
after those three.
no.
Mm-mm.
Everyone's liking Tyler Shuck out of Louisville, but I would not take him in the first round. You know, I could see them going like D line Kenneth Grant potentially with
Hmm.
Cam Hayward getting older, or receiver like you mentioned. They did trade for DK Metcalf, which I love that.
Right. So he's
Yeah.
the one guy that you could depend
Yeah,
on, you know,
yeah,
but George could be suspended. You know, we're
yeah,
not I'm upset. We need one more guy that we can
yeah.
count on. You know, the DJ's gonna be there and we need one more. If we can make that happen, I think they'll be better.
DK
And
getting
I'm
triple
hoping,
teamed because he's the only guy. Like,
yeah.
Right.
And I'm still holding out hope on Roman Wilson. If he can stay healthy, he could be something, but he needs to stay
No
healthy.
doubt. No doubt.
Amanda, how are you feeling? You talked about your Packers. They never take who you want. Um, Christian Watson coming off a torn ACL, receivers a need. You could go corner. You talked about going safety. There's a lot of different ways they could go here. But I think one of two, either Will Johnson or
I was
Jahdae
just gonna
Barron
say,
might
give
be
me my
available.
Michigan guy all
Yeah,
day. Yep.
yeah, if he's available there.
So they're gonna pass
Um,
him for sure.
if I'm the Packers, Hugh, in the second round, wide receiver Jaden Higgins is who I would go after. I really like that guy.
No, he's a player.
Well, you wanted
Yeah,
them to take T. Higgins, so
yeah.
you're just sticking with the
Maybe
name.
it's just the Higgins
They
guys.
get a Higgins.
Well,
Yeah.
my issue is T. Higgins has missed as much time as Christian Watson.
Oh
So
yeah.
he wouldn't
Ooh.
have been an improvement for that reason. Like Christian Watson's great when he plays. T.
Mhm.
Higgins also, like, can y'all coordinate your injuries just like every other week? Like the one of you
Yeah.
is playing, like, oh man,
The
that
one thing about the Packers, you have to give them credit. They develop players.
they do.
And just like I just they draft receivers. Who is these guys? And then you look up and
Yeah.
these guys are playing extremely well. Corners, who are these guys? Secondary players. They just do. They do a great job of developing talent.
And I will
Yeah.
say, myself and every other Packers fan, when Jordan Love was drafted, we ran our mouths so much. What are you doing? We've got Aaron Like, I will eat my words. That was my bad. Like they did what they needed to do with that, and it's
Hmm.
worked out well. But I just refuse to make predictions with the Packers because generally it plays out okay. Like we don't have a ton of draft bust, but it's never what I want or what I expect going in.
Hugh, I'm gonna give you four picks in the end of the first round that I really like, and tell me which one you like the most or what
Okay.
intrigues you. So, the Texans, if Matthew Golden, the wide receiver, falls to them, would be an excellent fit. With Tank Dell injured, they lost Stephon Diggs. I would love that fit. Um, the Vikings safety Nick Emanwari with Harrison Smith getting older, that and a Brian Flores defense, hard hitter. I would love to see that. And then the Bills and the Eagles defensive line, Derek Harmon to the Bills if he
Oh
falls
wow.
at 30. And then if the Eagles get this guy at 32, the NFL just needs to do something about this. You can't let Philly continue to get Walter Nolan, and you put
Wow.
him with Jordan Davis and who's the other? Jalen Carter. That would be insane.
Alex, you just nailed it
Mhm.
because the Eagles defense, as I've always said, is one of the best there is in football. And the
Yeah,
coordinator is really good too. I mean, Vic
yeah,
Fangio is extremely good. The league cannot let
Oh
them
yeah.
happen. That's number one. But they already have a good defense today. So I like
yeah,
it, but I hope it doesn't happen. The one
Same.
yeah. I
that
know.
intrigues me the most is the receiver going to Houston. And I tell you why. Because you said something that was key. Both of those players are one, Tank Dell's coming off an injury. We don't know if that's going to look like now and when he's going to be able to play. And
Yeah,
Stephon Diggs is gone to the Patriots. So you need to replace this that position. You need to take care of your quarterback.
Mhm.
yeah,
CJ Stroud had not the year that everybody anticipated he would have. You got to put him back up there in the
Mhm.
top echelon of quarterbacks. And the only way to do
yeah.
that is give him more guys to throw to.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
And I mean, CJ Stroud has so much potential. You have to give him the weapons he needs.
Yes.
Because,
yeah,
I mean, CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels, like these two young quarterbacks, like just stock up that offense. Give them guys who can get open with good
Yes.
hands.
They
Their
can
their
do it.
careers are going to be amazing to watch.
Mhm.
And Amanda, I know you would love Derek Harmon to Buffalo because he's a
Oh,
defensive tackle that can get after the
Mhm.
quarterback too. And how do you get past the Chiefs? Build that defensive line, So
We figured it out this
or
season.
play the Eagles, one or the
Mhm.
other.
yeah, that would be crazy. But yeah, I can't wait for this draft. It's only 8 days away. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Hugh, it's awesome to be able to talk with you. And best of luck, at Georgia State upcoming. You're going to be offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach.
Hmm.
Best wishes. I hope you guys have a lot of success this coming
Thank
year.
you. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Good shit as always, Amanda. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. We appreciate you. And have a great week, guys. Peace out.